What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the GrownCast, and today we're doing part 2 of 1 versus the 99, and today we're going to be talking about the 99. And I know this isn't going to be popular, but it's real, and this is just coming from what God gave me. So we're still in Matthew chapter 18, and it's talking about the story of the parable about the shepherd who has 100 sheep, and one gets lost and one goes astray, and the shepherd goes to find that one. But what I think people forget in that parable is he didn't just leave those sheep unattended or uncared for. He left them in a place where they would eat and they have stuff to do. And I think a lot of times as a church, we forget that just like we used to be that one. We used to be that one sheep that was lost. We used to be that one person that God came and found and got and brought them into our fold. And a lot of times we forget that. It's almost like the story of the parable of the prodigal son, where the older brother was like, yo, you just let him back into the house like this? You just let him back into what you thought was supposed, like this? He took all your money, he ran it up or whatever. And we think the same thing about God sometimes, because it's like, yo, you really let him come back? Or you really went and found that one sheep and brought it back? And we forget and we get so holier than thou in that place of, man, like, okay, you brought them in here. Why did you bring them in here? And we forget that we were that one. We forget we were that one sheep at that one time, and we start being holier than thou, and we forget where God has brought us from. And I think that's a real problem with the church today. And I know I've been in that place as well. I have to remember, hey, I'm not better than anybody. I have to remember to stay humble as well, because it's like, yo, just like he helped that person, remember what he did in your life. Remember what you were like before God came and found you. Remember what you were like before you started going to church regularly. Remember what you were like before, all of this other stuff. And you have the nerve or the audacity to look at somebody else like, how dare you? How dare him come in here? And I think a lot of times we forget that God came and found us even when we were wrong, even when we were detestable, even when we were doing things that we weren't supposed to. He came and found us, and he still loves us even in that. And so that 99, I know that there are people just like, man, why did he even do this in your life? And I always ask the question, like, but what did he do in your life? I think a lot of times, even our parents, and don't get me wrong, I love my parents to death, but even at times our parents, it comes off as, yo, you come off as you're holier than thou, and I understand it's coming from a place of, I just want you to be better than I was. I want you to do better than I did, but it's almost like they forget who they used to be. It's almost like, I know they're not trying to glorify what they did, but it's almost like they dampen what God has done in their lives, and it's just like, okay, but you can't talk to me about this unless you really tell me what happened, because it's like, yo, God brought you from so many places that you haven't even spoke about. And you're judging me and you're criticizing me for this, but what has God done in your life? And I understand it is important to tell your kids the right thing and to tell people the truth. And I understand that, but I do want you to remember where God brought you from. And so the next time you judge somebody else for being brought to the church, or judge somebody else, and how can God change their life? I think about Paul. Paul really went from a person that killed Christians, persecuted Christians, and all of that, and was like, yo, fire pitchfork, hey, I'm coming to get y'all, to being an apostle. Like, think about that switch or that change. And so the next time you say, oh, why did God do that to them? How can God change your whole life like that? He did it for Paul. And even more frankly, even more practical terms, he did it for you. Like, think about all the stuff that you used to do that wasn't the best in anybody's eyes, that wasn't the best in God's eyes either. And so just always remember that don't ever get too cocky and too prideful to forget where God has brought you from. Because just like he rejoiced when you were that one, we also should rejoice for those other ones that are coming in to the fold. Because we're no better than them, because God's grace and mercy brought us through. And that is another episode of the GrownCast. That is the 99 and 1 versus the 99. Thank you.